I just want to tell that story real quick. So the year is 2019. I just got a haircut. Um, I'm looking good. I think I'm 22 years old or something like that. And I was living with my parents, and I was trying to find a great idea for a company. And I was always playing around with different things. Like this is one technology I was playing around with in augmented reality. So I was always playing around with weird ideas, different ideas. And eventually I thought, okay, after 3 months I couldn't really find a good idea, and I just was completely tired of trying to find a good idea. So I thought, okay, let me just pick a bad idea. And I picked this. I decided I'm going to teach kids at my mom's house how to code websites. So that's it. Kids from the neighborhood could come to my house and I'll teach them how to code. That was my whole idea. And I made these little cards. I called it Farza School. And yeah, it's just, let's go teach kids how to code. So 0 people actually sent their kids to me, actually, which is a good thing, I think. But one kid came over, and he was my cousin. This is my cousin Samir. This is almost 7 years ago now, and I taught him how to make his first website. He would come to my house every single Saturday, and we would spend 3 hours teaching him how to make websites. And I had so much fun. This was so fun. I love doing this with Samir. Eventually, I thought, this is pretty cool. One thing Samir, before I go here, one thing Samir told me after one of our sessions, he said, yo, do I have to go to school? Can't I just learn with you all day? Like, why do I have to go to school? And he was 11 years old. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. How do you actually just skip school? And it turns out in America, it's called homeschooling. It's called unschooling. So you can legally take your child out of school and have them do whatever they want under your supervision. It's like very popular, or it's popular now. But back then it was not popular at all. So I went to this Facebook group and I asked these parents on a Facebook group, hey, what ages are your kids that you homeschool? So majority of them were age 7 to 9. And I saw a bunch of people on Facebook just like talking about how hard it is to homeschool their child. You have to, make worksheets. You have to like do a lot of legal work because you don't want to mess up your child's education, right? And eventually, I said on Facebook on this parenting group, hey, I have this magical app. This app that's going to make your homeschool so much easier. If you want it, drop a comment. And almost 200 people dropped a comment. I did not have this app, by the way. This is not a real app. I just made it up. But once 200 people told me they wanted the app, I made the app. And so by the way, I'm really bad at everything, design and coding. But this is the first version of the app. And it looks really, really bad. But eventually I learned some design. I took a bunch of courses and I made this, and it looks better. And this is what the website looked like. Super simple. It's where any parent could come to the website and legally start a homeschool for their child. Super simple. And we ended up getting our first customer, this random lady from Facebook in Georgia named Lucy. Eventually, Lucy emailed me one day. She said, Farza, I love that you helped me start a homeschool. Thank you so much. But I have a bigger problem. I need to make lesson plans for my child. Like, 'cause when you homeschool your child, you as the parent are the teacher, right? And so the parent has to make all these lesson plans. So I thought, oh, Lucy, I'll make the lesson plans for you, you know? And so I actually learned how to make lesson plans for kids, like kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and I would make people these lesson plans for their child. And pretty soon, this gets really big. It looks really dumb, but people love my lesson plans. I think I have like 1,000 parents now who use my lesson plans. Eventually, these parents say, Farza, we love your lesson plans, but what we would really love is some worksheets. If you could make worksheets for our child, because my kid loves worksheets. So you know what I did? I made worksheets. And this gets really big. Almost 10,000 people every month are using my worksheets now. Crazy, right? This is insane. Eventually, they say, Farza, can you just teach my child? And so I started actually running classes for kids on Zoom. So I was the first teacher, and I would be teaching kids on Zoom every single day, like 10 times a day, different classes. And this gets even bigger. This is like 20,000 kids every month now are watching my classes. Eventually, these classes get really big, and kids just like love it. Kids become big fans of like me as their teacher. Eventually, I hire more teachers. I hire almost because kids kept asking, "Oh, Farza, I want a class where I can draw Pikachu," or Farza, I want a class where I can learn about space or dolphins or ocean travel or different things like that. And so I eventually hired all these teachers to actually teach these classes. And there was almost 60 teachers at one point on this on what I was doing because kids just kept asking. And so every time a kid wanted a class, I would find a teacher and they would teach that class. So almost what is it, like 4 months later from when I was teaching Samir, like remember my cousin? We're at 200,000 students. We're streaming 1 million minutes per day, and it's 50,000 classes attended per day. It's like kind of ridiculous. But again, I don't know what I'm really doing. I'm just kind of following what the kids and the parents are asking me for. But all of a sudden, I've really created one of the biggest, online education initiatives in America for kids, which is insane to think about. By the way, I was the only person who was full time on it still. I didn't have any co-founders, I didn't have any employees. We had the teachers, but the teachers were on contract, and they would teach like a couple of hours a week, and I'd pay them. But I was the only person full time still. And I was still mostly using my savings. So my savings were going down. Zip School was making money. We charged parents money, a monthly subscription to have these classes. But still, I would like more money. It would help. And so this was all crazy, but it gets crazier because I applied to Y Combinator. I didn't really know what Y Combinator was, but then I applied and I ended up getting in. And they gave me $125,000, which was crazy. That's the more money than I had ever seen. It was ridiculous. And so I had all this money now, and to be honest with you, I didn't ever have funding before. I didn't know what to do with this money. But eventually, as with all things, you learn, you figure it out. And I ended up hiring more teachers, engineers, designers. And it's kind of funny that I've never in my whole life cold emailed an investor. I've never made a pitch deck in my whole life. But it turns out if you do really great work, people will just come to you. And so that's kind of my whole philosophy with this sort of stuff. Just do cool things, post about it every single day, and I think people will notice. And what's really funny is this investor called A16Z, which is a pretty big investor in America. They randomly saw my Instagram stories. Um, this is Anne. She saw my Instagram stories about how I was building my company, and she emailed me. And this was her email. Hey, I'm a consumer investor at A16Z, blah, 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 right? And this was crazy, because this is a big deal. And I didn't know how to respond to this. And they wanted a bunch of things from me. They wanted a pitch deck, they wanted all of my analytics, and it was all a bunch of very complicated things that they wanted from me. So again, I really didn't know what I was doing. And so I told them, hey, I don't want to make you a pitch deck. I just don't want to. I think that's stupid. Instead, let's make a deal. And I made a deal with them. I said, let's talk in 3 months. If my company is 10 times bigger in 3 months, you will invest in me. That's it. And they said yes. And then 3 months later, we were 10x bigger. And I got $2 million. And it's just funny how this sort of thing can happen. It's not like I'm trying to do this stuff. It's just kind of happening because you're working on something that you really like, because I really liked working on Zip School. I just like teaching kids. And so, but can we, maybe for just a moment, where did this all start, right? It didn't start with any markets analysis. It didn't start with me trying to solve some sort of big problem. There was no pitch in the beginning. It just started like this, right? This was where it all began. And I think that if you take anything away from me today, it's just to take it back to this, anything that you're doing, just take it back to just like you having fun making stuff for people that you like, and that's the heart of it basically. And yeah, it started with me making websites for my cousin, right? And it's crazy how everything just kind of happened step by step by step by step. But I didn't plan any of it. And so anyways, I think people outsmart themselves all the time. I think all of you are very smart, actually. and you're so smart that you can outsmart yourself. Because there's so many other things to like this game, that people think is important. And these are all, I would say they're things that are somewhat important, but they're not the most important things. The most important thing is so simple. It's just it's just to make stuff that you really love. That's really it. And so again, I think most of this stuff is absolute BS. I don't focus on this stuff at all. And I think just make stuff that you love. And so I think if you do that, a lot of good can come from it. So yeah, thanks.
Well,